Is Agatha All Along provide a spooktacular time? Welcome Cinema, where we focus on a film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know down in the comments below, what were your thoughts on Agatha All Along? Do you like it, do you not like it, or is it somewhere right in the middle? Or if you're waiting for this review to decide if this series is worth it or not, make sure to like this video if you enjoy it, subscribe if you haven't already to join in the film culture community where we talk about the love of cinema as a whole, and getting right into the synopsis. In order to regain her powers, Agatha must gather a coven in order to travel down the Witch's Road, but certain things may not be what they seem along the way. And going into the positive, Agatha All Along is a really delightful series that really builds upon its episodes rather well. A solid start captures a hook, and a final episode that really finalizes what you're all getting. The twist that really shows you what this season was all about. And Agatha, played by Catherine Hahn, is just great as always. The enjoyment you can get from her character coming off of WandaVision, there's not too much homework or MCU watching you have to do necessarily going into this. You just get her character mostly from WandaVision, a couple other characters that pull off along the way. Now, knowing the MCU movies, knowing the other MCU shows gives you a sense of context of where this is placed within the timeline, but it doesn't create as heavy stakes to the rest of the world, having to know every single detail that's going on, where this is leading up to. It sort of leaves things a little open-ended on the fate of certain characters, what's all going to happen, not knowing where these characters will particularly show up again. But that's where it becomes interesting in the spooky vibes that are all going about. It could be one that's just watched again upon each Halloween, or every once in a while, just the way it goes about each season, going about creepy, different aesthetics that does take some risks with the MCU, isn't too daring to some degree to where it's still kid and family friendly to the nature of what they want for their branding. So what we get out of the performances can be really good. There is one particular standout episode in 6 that one of the witches, the actress, is just really great for what she pulls off for her performance, giving about different things that are eccentric and the motivations for the characters. They're not super deep with their cleverness or what you're getting out of each of them, but there is a witty sense of humor that goes about here and there that makes this a simple and clever comedy series in its own sense of way. It's fantasy in, of course, the sense of witches, but knowing what it's all going about, there is the style of comedy that works effectively here and there throughout the things. There's mystery characters, this boy at the beginning, that when he speaks, it's fuzzling out his name. And so how that all uncovers, there's a natural lead up to that reveal that was still leaving it as a surprise. And so that's what really builds upon not only that, but the costumes just being really great for the nature of the show, the different things that changes the scenery, changes the look of the characters. And once you may be able to rewatch this, you catch all the details of the reveal later on, and that's what becomes something about the show that's special, that I may not be rewatching it immediately after just because I know all the factors that may lead into a surprising rewatch, but there's something about the show, because it's grounded, because it's sort of fantastical with the elements that it's providing. It takes all these different things, follows off upon WandaVision in a great way that doesn't necessarily provide all of the cameo heavy things that just feels like it's being flashy for the sake of flashy, but still becomes its own thing for the nature of what it's doing to build up its characters, take certain things different way, provide certain things that gives you the hints of what certain things are leading all about. That can provide confusion in some of the dialogue, but not so confusing that it takes you out of the mysterious element, because you know where certain things may lead up to a reveal, that it ultimately does. And that's where it provides a sense of stamina from the beginning, really taking it on to different things, changing the scenery up from episode to episode, going about different witch trials in episode 3, 4, and 5, and just dividing the time in an equal amount of opportunity to change up what all is going on with the show, turning some twisty turns in a way that keeps your attention glued into maybe wanting to watch the season a little bit more, even if you're not always captivated all the way through. Which takes me into the next elements, to which this isn't necessarily a heavy stakes film for what you're getting out of the series as a whole, which can be a weigh down on what you ultimately get out of it, because there's certain ideas that don't feel fully fleshed out, or certain parts of the mysteries that not everyone will be fully captivated by, and just the elements that are going on throughout, there's certain turns that may not be for everyone for the divided attention, certain parts of the comedy that don't always work all the way through, and maybe hitting it too hard on the nose with what it's attempting to do, but not fully exceeding in what it's trying to communicate to everyone. So because it's a comedy, certain parts with its drama not always effectively working out all the time. Which takes me right into the negatives, to which, while there are good moments to the show, it overall has a spooky vibe that effectively works for me. There's certain moments of the series that does drag on a little bit because of the way it's set up, because of the structure, how it's leading into certain reveals, certain events. Maybe it works effectively better upon a rewatch, but upon the first time watch, that's still what needs to be sold in order to captivate, to convince me to go and give it another rewatch, make it another favorite of what we're getting out of the MCU series. It's definitely one of the more better ones that we've gotten as of recently, but just what you're getting from the forefront, there are certain aspects to the reveal, the way it builds certain things up, that ultimately leads to tonal shifts that are a little drastic, maybe not too jarring in the sense of going from straight comedy, laugh out loud, to dark and dramatic, because that's also where it leads to, where it has a sense of style that sort of hints at being really dark, leading into a dark moment, but it doesn't go full in. That really captures what it could be in a magical sense of really being brutal and being in the scope of the MCU. They hold it back from being too dark, for being family friendly in some stretch of what they're doing. They're not diving too deep into the witch culture for you to learn some of the backstories, hints at what's all going on, where you get, yes, some of the character backstories. You're not really diving deep into the lore or certain aspects of the witchcraft, or certain dark moments that could get really bloody, or certain crass moments that could be really bold and drastic with the stakes that are all provided or hinted at. But because it doesn't fully seem to commit to a dark element that sort of feels like it's struggling to escape from the grasp of its voice, it sort of fails to succeed in being extra with what it's attempting and trying to communicate, because some of the writing feels a little bit held back for what it feels like it's leading up to what it ultimately commits to by the end. So that's just my personal review for Agatha All Along, which I have to rate as simply 6.5 out of 10. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Agatha All Along, keeping it spoiler free for the comments below. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already to join in the film culture community where we talk about love cinema as a whole. So that's just all, and make sure to do yourself a favor and go watch a TV show.